Welcome everybody to the latest episode of Money, Life and Gags with Harry and Mark. How are you, Harry?
Mark, I'm doing very well. You obviously had an eventful weekend.
Yeah, I had a good weekend and then really eventful overnight. These I know the elections come and gone and so forth, but the problem that hasn't gone away is home invasions and car robberies, and as you know, you probably heard a lot in the news of teenagers doing these things. We had an event last night where my son's car got stolen, and we got cameras around the house, and we can't really make out who they are, but we can see people at our front door, because we've got a camera there. We can see different things at different areas, and a bit unnerving while you're asleep that sort of stuff happens.
So what time in the morning did this event occur?
I think it was around 4 a.m. from what we could gather, and the police knocked on our door maybe 5 a.m. and
Right.
then everyone was asleep, so no one answered. But then they rang Oliver, my son, and said, "Is this your car?" Blah blah blah. So he went and checked it out, and yes, it was his car, and now it's in the compound, and they ripped all the inners. They tried to hotwire it, but they couldn't, because of the various tech he's got going on that car. It's not easy just to steal.
Yeah.
And so they damaged a lot of it. Probably to the extent that it might be a write-off, I don't know. Uh, but yeah, pretty unnerving when you got some strangers at your front door, and then we live in a corner, so you got them on both sides, and we can see on our video, them walking here, walking there, staking out the place, and
Well, are we talking about young kids? When I say young kids, young adults, are we talking about grown men? Like, what are we talking about?
It's really hard to tell because they were all wearing dark clothes and hats and all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't easy to ascertain. We didn't get clear picture like, you and I in a video here. We didn't get clear picture like that. But there is some black and white vision that we've given to the police, and maybe through their technology they'll be able to superimpose it or use AI or whatever to make a look, to identify who it might be. But yeah,
They've actually knocked. So after trying to pinch the cars, your son's cars, they've actually knocked on your door to see if anyone was at home.
No, 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 no. Before they pinched it, they came to the front door I think they were either looking to see if there was anything to steal in the front area, sometimes you leave things
Right.
like that in the front area, or they were looking for something that they could use, on the, to open the car. So jimmy the car open or something. And so they quickly noticed that we had a Ring doorbell. So they sort of said, "No, we're not going to stay here." So they went back into the darkness. And then our other cameras picked them up a little bit, but nothing that you could make out who was who. So yeah, today's my son went to some of the neighbours, got some vision from some of them, so you can see what has happened. Not so easy to ascertain who it is, but you can see what has happened. So effectively, what they did is they broke into the car. They couldn't start it, so they rolled it. They took it out of park and rolled it down the street because we live down a hill.
Or is the car parked inside the home under a carport, or is it outside?
Well, it's just in the street.
So it's in the street.
Yeah, yeah.
Mate, that's scary stuff, mate.
Yeah, I know, it's not fun. Not fun at all.
I mean, what do you do if you happen to wake up and you're seeing that someone's trying to damage your property or steal your car? I mean, I think I would lose my shit.
Yeah, I'm probably the same. I've got a baseball bat under my, a few spikes on the end of it, under my bed, and, but I normally hear these sort of things because we sleep with our windows open, and, you can hear these things, but I must have been out to the world. I do recollect, hearing police sirens.
Right.
Uh, my son's car got broken into, but before they broke into, they came to our front door. We got cameras around the house, so we could see a lot of this stuff. But they came to the front door. I don't know what they were looking for. They're either looking for something of value that they could steal, or something they could use to break into the car, because my son's car is not easy to break into, but they eventually did break into it. Couldn't start it, ripped all the wires out, pretty much turned it into a write-off the way they damaged it all. They rolled it down the street because we live on a downhill slope. And then they got interrupted, and police chased, they had a getaway car. They left shit on on the seat. They left the scene in a hurry. We didn't see any of this, but yeah, and then the cops chased this getaway car, and you could hear the sirens at that time. But I just thought they were sirens. I didn't really think about anything of it. I just thought, oh yeah, because we get that a little bit around here. Yeah, and then what time in the morning? 4 a.m. in the morning. And then around 5 a.m., just rough the times I'm using here, but about 5 a.m., the police are on our front door, and we were still all asleep, so no one answered the door. And then they rang my son's phone, and he answered, and basically said, "Is this your car? Can you please come and identify?" And it got towed away to the compound. Yeah, and then we checked our vision, just shared our vision with the police to see what they can make of that. The one at the front door, you can see it's very dark, so the lighting's not fantastic. But you can see a face a little bit.
Right.
Well, it'd be interesting if the police can do anything with that vision and superimpose it or anything like that. But a lot of the neighbours also have vision, and so yeah, so that was not fun this morning waking up to that.
That's scary stuff, mate.
Yeah, it's not, it's unnerving, I've gotta say. We try to just keep it low key for the younger kids so that no one freaks out, at the
Of course.
younger kids, but yes, so that's one car gone, and then this afternoon, we were just mowing lawns and stuff, and, he went to see his other car because 'cause he's got 2 cars out here, and he realized his other car, they tried to break in. They didn't get too far with that one, so they must have tried that one first and then come to the second one, and then it was easier to get into the second one. And so,
Don't you find it don't you find it sad that nearly, I mean, look, I don't know what the percentages are, but everyone's got cameras now, outside their homes because they fear of what may happen. I'm just wondering 30, 40, 50 years ago, no one had cameras, mate.
no, they don't really been invented for the house. No, but yeah, it is sad, and it doesn't really protect you because whoever's doing this stuff, and we don't know. It was really hard to work out if they were young, not young. Like I suspect they're a bit young, judging by the face that I saw on the video, but it was so blurry. You couldn't make it out fantastically. But I don't think it was anyone our age. I think there'd be more teenage, to 20s from that zone.
Out of curiosity, Mark, if this event was happening 4 o'clock in the morning and you just happened to get up and open the door, what would your reaction be?
Oh, well, they didn't ring the doorbell, so, I wouldn't have opened the door without being prepared that I knew what I was gonna do. I do have a nice tool sitting under my bed, a nice baseball bat with, some edges at the tip of it. Yeah, I think you would just go in defense mode and protect your first protect your people and then protect your assets, and you would go in attack mode, and these people, they generally just run, right? Because these are just car thieves. They're obviously not home invaders. I have heard some horror stories where in the home invasions, they do, attack the people who live there and traumatize the children and that sort of stuff. That'd be tough to deal with because if there's a number of them, how do you defend everybody? You just say, "Look, just take what you want and get out, and then I'll come find you later." But,
Or you just don't open the door and let them do their own thing?
the home invasions, you're not opening doors, mate. They're just coming in. They're not waiting for you to open the door. They're getting in through back doors. They're getting in through windows, wherever they can get into. No one's letting them in. We got alarms everywhere. We got security doors. But if they want to get in, they'll work out a way. So I don't. Yeah, and they can smash windows, just come in through that, and so forth. So it's just unfortunate the world we live in at the moment that, and, especially here, a lot of that is happening, and you hear too many.
Like, why? Like, why is this stuff, like, why is crime on the up over the last couple of years? It just seems that COVID and after, not only hasn't the world changed, but distinctly now, because I know they have the same problem all over the world, like crime's just gone through the roof, Mark.
The only thing I can put it down to is the fear of what happens there, the repercussions of committing a crime. Are not fearful
Yeah, it doesn't match up.
anymore. Yeah, they're not. Whether it's the right medicine, not the right medicine, I don't know. It's not for me to judge, but it just feels like that, they're not fearful of what happens to them if they get caught.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, look, I'll go to court, get out on bail, come out again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whether it's the bail laws, whether it's our system, whether it's, we don't have enough jails.
Not tough, yeah, it's not tough enough, mate.
It could well be. I don't know. I haven't done a lot of work, really, research on it, but it's certainly, like, off the charts. Like, years and years ago, people wouldn't be coming to your house if you were asleep. Like, if they knew you weren't home, they'd always stake you out, and if they knew you weren't home, then they'd break into your house because it was empty. Now they don't care. Now, if it's empty, if it's, not empty, if you're asleep, you're not asleep. If they wanna come in, they're coming in, and, it's scary.
Do you know, Mark, the signs that I see? Nothing related to home invasions, but when I went to the supermarket, I don't know, probably about a couple of months ago,
Yeah.
have you noticed at the supermarket, when you're trying to buy meat, there's actually like some sort of a plastic padlock on the meat? Have you noticed that?
No, I haven't, no.
Next time at the meat section, I assume
How possible is packaged meat? Is that what you're talking about?
no, look, if you wanna buy, like, some eye fillets,
Yeah,
right?
packaged. It's not like, yeah, where he packs it for.
No, 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 it's not a butcher, it's prepackaged. They've got, like, a little plastic, padlock, and when I noticed it for the first time, I mean, I know why they're doing it, because a lot of people are pinching stuff from the supermarket, and they're just basically walking out. So I think this padlock, I'm not sure about this, but I think if you try and pinch the meat and the padlock is still on, I think it sends a signal, like a beeping noise. I think, I'm not too sure, but something alerts the supermarket that someone's stealing meat. And you kind of sit back and you think, geez, is this the society that we're actually living in?
Wow. And so with the self-checkout, how did people take this lock off?
Oh, so what happens, the cash register, no different, when you go to a retail store and they've got tags on the actual clothes and you go to the cash register and, they unhook it. It's the exact same process with meat now, with prepackaged meat.
Wow, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, no, they've got them at Coles supermarket, and for them to take those drastic, measures tells me that, there's a lot of stuff just being stolen from the supermarket.
Oh, amazing. I think stuff's always been stolen from supermarkets, but it must be going out of control if they're doing that to meat.
Out of control now.
The cost of chucking your lock on every piece of meat that's sold, like, there's a lot of meat in supermarkets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think do you remember, when we were young kids and we were watching movies of major cities around the world? I mean, this is just movie stuff, and they had, like, um, like like a cage in front of the retail store, so no one would be able to get in? Do you remember those movies that we used to see when we were kids? Yeah, look, they were around.
Oh, in front of shops.
Yeah, yeah, that, like, if you go to Europe, in Europe,
Yeah.
um when you go to, little arcades, they've got their shop front, but when they actually wanna lock up the store, they close the front door, and then there's an additional roller door that goes all the way down.
Right.
That tells me that if they didn't have that, they would have major issues. I just think that the world is changing so much. You know, you had an incident last night with home invasion. I mean, look.
At one home invasion was more car theft, but they did approach the front of the house, so but at no stage did they try and get in the house.
But that in itself is a problem. Coming to someone's home and pinch or trying to, steal 2 cars and having cops knocking on your door at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I know in the yeah, because I know in the area where I live in, everyone's got cameras. Everyone's got cameras, Mark. So that tells me, or the signal that that gives me is that, all of us are being so cautious because we are aware that it's actually happening.
Yeah, I know, but the cameras are okay for trying to identify who it was and prove that there was a crime and so forth, but it
Yeah,
doesn't stop them because they don't care. That
I know.
some of them, like, not mine, but I've seen others where they're just wearing these masks, so you can't work out who it is. Their clothing and their masks that they're wearing, and they've got a mask of, like, a character, or a former president, or whatever it is, and like you see in the movies,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
some masks now. And so, yeah, I don't know what the solution is, other than there has to be a macro solution that every time they catch these guys, maybe the punishment has to be harder because the lure of selling car parts and breaking it all down is too great at the moment. They make a lot of money out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I had an incident when I moved into my home, some time ago. Next to my home, there's a vacant block of land,
Oh yeah,
and I saw, a couple of young adults, young teenagers, I don't know, Mark. Um,
you saw them on your
I Sorry?
you saw them on your camera.
No, 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 I saw him from my laundry door.
Oh, okay.
So this is during the daytime, and, I've allowed someone, that parks their, camper van onto the vacant block of land. It's just a neighbor.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking these young kids, young, adults are trying to do damage to this, camper van. So I've gone next door, and I was being so polite, it's not a joke. They basically told me to go and stick it. Now, I could see they were probably in their 20s, 25. They virtually told me to come and stick it, so I haven't got time to call cops and all that sort of bullshit, mate. I mean, I've got a, quick fuse. So I've come, across to the back, where my pool, that bloody big, steel thing where you clean debris, out of the pool. I've unhooked it, and I've gone next door with this steel thing that's about 3 meters, and mate, let me tell you, I chased him out of the vacant block of land with that. I haven't got times for this bullshit, cops.
Did they run?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, and I was serious. I mean, I wasn't mucking around with this sort of stuff because
I would have thought
with
a 3 foot bar is a bit too big to wield around and hurt anybody. Like you got to break it in half, man.
I'm not that kind. But let me tell you, this is just BS, people going around and, getting into cars or getting into homes or doing damage. It's just not on.
So what do you reckon those kids were doing, or if they were kids? But what sips and they're going for?
Yeah, so there's an old Telstra 1970 Telstra van sitting in my a vacant block of land. The gentleman has turned it into a camper van, so he's probably spent a lot of dollars on it. And I think these kids were wanting to have a bloody go.
Yeah, amazing.
So
Yeah, and that's daylight. That's daylight.
oh yeah, oh mate, they don't give a rip. I mean, it's like whatever.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it?
I think society, the way that it's going, and if we map it out over the last 10 years ago, it wasn't as bad as what it is now. And you can make the assumption if we go 10 years forward, it's going to get worse, Mark.
Oh,
It's
that's
actually going to get worse.
what does worse mean? They start rocking up with guns, and I'd hate what worse looks like. And I sympathise for the police. Like,
Oh, I do too.
they catch these people, and then a week later they're back at it again. They've got to catch them again. Like it's like Groundhog Day for those poor police.
Have you ever caught a train in the afternoon or evening?
I go to train to home to work sometimes. Not so much
Do you?
evening, more like 5, 6 o'clock time.
Oh, okay. Tell me, in late afternoon or early evening, are there security guards at the train station?
Yeah.
Um, can I ask you, do you think there were security guards 10 years ago at train stations?
No. Oh,
There you go.
certainly not 15, 20 years. I don't know about.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, I guess the flip side is it's created jobs for people, because if you have to have all these security guards everywhere. But it's just, and I hear some suburbs, like you read in the papers and you hear some stories from other people, some suburbs cop it a lot worse. At the moment, it seems like where I am, they're going after cars a fair bit. A guy across the road a number of months back, he had a car. They just hopped in. They'd managed to start that quickly and took off.
Really?
Yeah, and he came knocking on our door to see if the police came as well to see if we had any vision of it. Unfortunately, ours didn't capture any vision that would help him. But yeah, they're just going for it, and they're well prepared. They've got tools. They're like in my son's car, they left a lot of their shit in the car because they obviously got disturbed and had to do a runner because they left shit behind. They left the headlamp. They left some battery charging equipment. They left a syringe. They left all sorts of stuff in his car.
May I ask the make, or model of your son's?
Yeah, it's a Holden Commodore.
Yeah. I've heard about Holden Commodores that because they obviously don't manufacture them anymore, parts are gold now.
Yeah, and I think that they're stealing them yeah, they're breaking into bits, and so, it doesn't because they're not looking to sell the car as a whole, so, panels are worth, interiors are worth, motor parts are worth, you just break the motor into parts, all that sort of stuff, so, I don't know what they would make out of getting one car, but yeah, it's a sad world that we've ended up like this, and I don't know if it's because it's easy, that they just think because there's no repercussions, it's easy, and somebody's paying them to do it. Because I think these kids are too young to be running the racket on their own. I think there's got to be others supporting that food chain, so that if you talk that type of car, bring it here, we'll check it out, we'll strip it, and then you'll get your money type stuff. That must be some other stuff going on.
So obviously, we've just had the Australian elections.
Yeah, it's come and gone. Yeah.
Yeah, come and gone. Look, I think you and I, when I don't follow politics. Was there ever a subject matter duty before the elections that they talked about crime? Did they ever address crime, or we need more police, or w- was that a subject matter?
My, I didn't follow the whole campaign to categorically say yes or no, but what I do know is a lot of especially the teenage crime, all that sort of stuff, is more state-based initiatives, not federal-based initiatives.
Right.
Now, doesn't mean it's not happening at a federal level, and they don't provide funding to the states to support or anything like that. But I couldn't tell you if it came up, um, through either party. But it certainly has come up in the state elections whenever they come up in due course. I know Jacinta Allen's already stated she's going to do some stuff, so she's finally listening, or Labor's finally listening. I don't know how long it takes, and what I don't know is, sure, you make those changes. How long does it take for those changes to actually impact?
The implemented, yeah.
Because then you've got your behaviors, that's what needs to change. People have to stop doing this stuff, especially en masse, to the magnitude that it is. But yeah, so it's gonna take some time.
We definitely live in that change when I think I said in one of the pods, I mean, not related to crime, but even students at high school, year 7 and year 8. I think I've told you I've got mates who are teachers, and I think one of them said to me, comparing it to 25 or 30 years ago when they got started, if there was a class of 18, maybe there may have been one student who was depressed. Now it's more like 60 to 70% of the students are depressed. I mean,
It's come to the
depressed.
what do you think's driving depression for these kids then?
See, I don't know. I mean, I haven't got the skill set to answer that question. But theft, home invasion, um, more kids are being depressed. One of my mates is a doctor, is a GP, and when he gets started, if he sees young teenagers, they're about to walk into his room, he almost takes a guess that 70% of it that the kid's going to be clinically diagnosed with depression.
That's
I mean, most of his work is handing, young kids between the age of 13 to 14, right up to, to 20s, just being depressed.
Yeah, well, let's hope maybe he's the delta, and that's not the norm. Let's hope that if that's the statistics he's seeing, that's not what all GPs are seeing, because that's bad worry if our whole younger generation is going through that. That's not,
Well, they are, Mark.
well, I don't know, are they? That's a pretty high percentage. Like that,
Yeah.
that was to flow through the society. Then you're saying 65% of all kids are depressed. And, that's a pretty extreme number, so I'm hoping that he's just, the outlier of it all, not the norm, but yeah, touch wood, none of that sure.
Yeah. I think we have to accept that. I mean, society always changes, sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse. But I always say to a lot of people, when I was growing up as a kid, I remember when I was 10, 12, 13, 14, mate. we were playing cricket on the street.
Well, absolutely.
We were kicking we were kicking the football on the street, and if cars would come, we'd let the car go past, and we'd continue playing cricket. So I ask you,
You just move
do
the bin. Just move the bin.
yeah, exactly, just move the bin. I mean, this is not classical stuff. Every street, all the kids used to play on the street. Tell me, have you seen any young kids play on the street now?
Nah, I don't see it very often. I see kids riding bikes, and I see running a bit of that, things like that. So they're trying to do some activities, but no, especially younger kids, like those sort of 7 to 14-year-olds.
Because it's
They're
scary.
the ones who used to play cricket a lot. So when they sort of got to 15, 16, they were chasing girls more than chasing balls, but uh, or boys, whatever your preference is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't see that anymore. Same as schools. Back in the day, parents weren't dropping kids off at school all the time.
Kids were walking to school,
They
Mum.
were walking, they were riding bikes, they were catching transport. Now people are fearful because there's too much
Yeah.
bad element out there that kids are getting robbed. The ones that do walk and stuff, if they got nice runners, they're getting attacked and get their runner stolen off them, their phones stolen off them. Yeah, it's just rampant. I don't have the answer though, but
I think, I certainly don't have the skill set to answer that question, but, we're not moving in the right direction, Mark. That's my issue. We're just not moving in the right direction.
and we haven't been for time. We haven't been for a long.
Yeah. And I'm surprised how our politicians haven't, like, addressed this from a long time ago. They know it's happening. They know I mean, we've just said every house now has got a bloody camera. Not just 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras. And 10, 15 years ago, it may have been 1 in every 20 homes had cameras installed. That tells me that society there is becoming very scary.
Yeah, and you had to comment that the politicians know, or they should know. So it does.
Oh, they know, mate.
So it does beg to wonder, why is nothing done about it?
Yes, very true.
Like, is it because they haven't experienced it, or is it because it's too remote, too far removed, and they're not touched by it? I don't know. I can't answer. I don't know any politicians that I could ask that question to, but it feels like we talk a lot about the cost of living. We talk about people buying a home and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right here, right now, and I know I'm probably war because we just had an event happen in our household overnight, but it does feel like crime should be the number one or number two key area that has to be targeted. And so, I don't, as I said, I don't have the answers. You don't have the answers. Maybe if our listeners have an answer, they could chuck a question into our comments and
Yeah.
extra comments and what they think the answers might be. But yeah, anyway, scary.
Look, I can even go to continue on the same thematic. I don't live too far away where all my retail shops are. I can tell you, if I went out for a coffee at 6:30 or 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. in the morning, I could tell you in front of CBA, ANZ, and National Australia Bank, there's probably about 4 to 5 people sleeping in front of the banks.
So the homeless people as well.
Yeah, homeless people. I haven't seen that, mate, for a long time. In fact, it's in my face every day, and it's just not happening where I'm living. I'm hearing from other friends of mine that it's just everywhere.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic because we around our area we have some homeless people that are sleeping in shopping strips and whatnot. But
Yeah.
the ones I'm a bit dubious about, like if that's their cards they got dealt, that's the cards they got dealt, and I sympathise with that. But then I see the mixed ones. I see these other ones. They sit outside supermarkets,
Yeah.
and they have a sign, and they're sitting there,
Oh, that shits me.
but then they've got a mobile phone.
Yeah.
But they're not dressed that bad, and so my son used to deliver pizzas, and in our area, and he used to see these people that were in front of supermarkets. He'd spot them elsewhere, and they'd actually go into homes. So they weren't actually homeless people. They just maybe they're on the dole, maybe they're in some sort of pension, and they supplemented it by sitting in front of supermarkets. Now, maybe that's, I'm being unfair to the ones that don't do that, but I'm always dubious now of those people that I see in front of supermarkets thinking, like, "Are you really in need, or are you just taking the piss here now?" And that's different than the people who are sleeping outdoors, right? Those
No, I
are
understand.
not for
My
choose to sleep out.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
My eldest daughter tells a story that, she was, shopping, and there was someone, I think, sitting down with a sign. I may not get the story right, but, like, "I'm hungry," and things like that, and I think my eldest daughter had some food in her hand. It may have been a sandwich. I can't remember what it was. So my daughter obviously felt sorry for him. So imagine if it was a sandwich. So she physically gives the sandwich to the gentleman, and, he just didn't like it, and he gave it back. He get that hungry, mate. Huh? What do you want, mate? A filet mignon.
what do you tell us what was in the sandwich though? Maybe it was some bullshit one.
Really?
Like it was a corned beef. Like I don't like corned beef. I wouldn't.
No idea. So you can't be that hungry. But yeah, you're right. I've seen those people where you don't know, are they fair income, or they're mucking around with your mind. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, yeah. I used to, as you know, I work in the CBD, most days, and what like there's been a change there. So going back a number of years, I used to see a lot of call them homeless people sitting on the curbs. Who's holding a baby, who's got a little puppy, who's just themselves. Sometimes in groups, and they're quite scattered. But in most recent times, and I haven't been across all the streets in the city, but the ones I pass, it seems to have reduced. So I don't
Oh,
know.
really?
Don't know if something's if the local council or the governments, or I don't know who's responsible for that sort of stuff. But it feels like there's been a circuit breaker there because there's not as many as there used to be. Um, like I'm talking about like Elizabeth Street and Collins Street and Queen Street and William Street, these streets. And I'm not saying they're not there, but they're not as many as they used to be. But I haven't seen them sleeping in my shopping strips, but I don't really go to shops at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning. But maybe they're up and about by the time I go there. But these supermarket ones, those ones I'm a bit dubious about.
Did you read about, you probably haven't read about it. I mean, I pissed myself laughing when I heard this like a couple of years ago. And someone, it was hot, and it was genuinely, the man was homeless. It genuinely, they proved, because they went to court. And what he was doing, he was going to prestigious suburbs in Melbourne. In this case, it was Brighton. And he needed to cool down. So as soon as a home was vacant, he would jump the fence and just use the pool and stay in sunbake all day. Did you hear about this one? So what happened? Uh, Yeah, so I kept reading on the article. So he used to have like a detailed program which house he was going to go, because this actually went to court, right?
Oh,
And what they actually found is that he started off with small homes. As long as the home had a pool, he decided to lift his game. So he really needed to be in a mansion with a big pool, with a sun lounge, and it had to have a shower, and that's how he got sprung, because of the
he went too far.
Yeah, he just went too fast.
Oh, good on him. He's pretty harmless. Like if he's just jumping and
Well, he was.
skip in the pool, I mean, you should do these things, but at least he's harmless. He's not hurting anybody other than cooling his nuts.
Exactly. Look, I think homelessness has always been an issue. It just seems lately meaning the last 3 or 4 years, it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's because of the cost of living, or it's hard to get a house, it's hard to rent. Like, I can sympathize if you're on hard times and you don't have support around you. What do you do? Like, it is hard. Like, it's not easy to go rent something. Not
No, you can't be up now.
so, and and then you can't buy, and if you can't get a job, the dole's not, it helps, but it doesn't probably help from the accommodation side of things. And so I can sympathise for, people on hard times.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, would you remember, I don't know how long it was ago, prior to 2015, 14, I can't remember, where kids were at uni, they used to band together with a couple of mates and go and rent a home. It will be done. Not happening now, I can assure you.
No, they stay with their mum and dads now.
Yeah. So it's not uncommon now for someone to be, 30, 35 and still be living at home because it's just too bloody hard.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 and then when they do go out, they find out how really hard it is, and they come back.
Oh, yeah. So what I mean, I'm not too sure if you know about granny flats, but what some parents are doing now to help out their children because they understand the problem, if they've got some if they've got enough land in their backyard, they're building granny flats.
We don't actually need to build them. There's those mobile ones now that are really positive, and apparently you don't pay stamp duty on them or anything like that. They're just like buying a caravan, but they're better than a caravan. They're like a home in your backyard. You got to have
It's a tiny home, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but at least the kids can live in it, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, and that industry is booming at the moment. I mean, if you Google tiny homes, you're going to get like page after page after page because this is a viable solution that can address the needs of young adults because it's not going to happen any other way.
could put 15 tiny homes on their block of land next door to you.
Yeah, but they won't let me. So they won't let me. That's the problem.
How many will I let you?
Like, look, Australians in, I mean, I'm not a developer by any stretch of the imagination, I can assure you, but I do know of some developers, this is their bread and butter. They've stopped developing for a multitude of reasons. One prevalent reason is because of cancels and trying to get approvals. It can take a year, mate.
Yeah, the red tape's nuts, isn't it?
It's just really dumb now.
And the problem is also because the red tapes take so long, then the costs blow out because there was
They do.
a quote given on January, let's call it, of any given year, and then you don't get your approvals and everything in place by January, February the following year, and you're thinking, oh, the price will stick, but the price doesn't stick because things have gone up. And imagine through that COVID period, so many builders have gone bankrupt because they had to either go bankrupt or had to honour contracts that meant they were losing money hand over fist.
Yeah.
And so they got, it's not their fault. It's just circumstantial. It's no one's fault. It's just circumstantial of, of a pandemic. But yeah, it's just the world's gone nuts, mate. Just you look at all the things we've been talking about here. It's really just the world's gone nuts.
Yeah, it really has. Anything else to add, mate?
No, I think that I'll go now deal with my trauma. But no, just joking. I'm not traumatized. No, I think we've covered a good topic today, mate. I don't have anything else to add. That it's an interesting topic. All I encourage anyone who's watching this is make sure you lock your doors, make sure you lock your windows, any gates or anything like that. Lock them up because
Because you want to happen to you.
yeah, and that one time that you might forget not to lock, and you leave it unlocked, that's the time that they'll come. And yeah, anyone to me for anything, that I would recommend that.
On that note, Mark, look forward to following episode.
Likewise, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Bye.